today we will review the information science for very specified information organization. So any kind of information need to organize it. So this chapter shows to how to we information organization. So there are many kind of things. For example, later the information organization, knowledge organization, not case knowledge organization. So why we need to organize organization is if you want to some specified area or technique or your experience, everything input your mind or your skills organize. So also I accept or touch or meet the information, and then how do we make organize for get the information. Something like the same thing. Knowledge also same thing. So if you get some knowledge, and how do we deal your mind and your idea. Today we will study and review this area. So some researchers give some definition regarding information organization. The first step in wisdom means is you accumulated your idea or knowledge, information, and then you become a wisdom, something like that. So the first step in wisdom is to know the things themselves, what it is, what's the meaning, something like that. So this notion consists in having a true idea of the object, true idea. So the first step in wisdom to know the things themselves. So this notion consists in having a true idea. The key word is true idea. It's not fact. It's not fake. True idea of the object. What is true idea? At the time, the objects are distinguished and known by classifying them methodologically and also giving them appropriate names. It means method. Objects. So it means is consists of the true idea of the object. Objects called. So objects are distinguished, also are classified. Distinguished and classified because there are some methods, and the other one is giving the appropriate name. Oops. So there are some objectives. Okay, I want to become some atmosphere knowledge or some medical something, chemical something, and this is idea, the object, and then object is consists of the true idea, true fact, and true idea. So how do we get the objectives and true idea? Is there two things? One thing is distinguish and clarify. classifying, for distinguishing. How do we do that? Distinguish. How to different? What is the difference between A and B? Something like that. Distinguish. What is different? And also classify. How sorting? This methodology give to the objectives, the true idea of objective. And then there are two things. How do we approach the methodology? And how do we make a name? We give to name why we distinguish. This is naming. Naming is distinguishing. And classifying. Well, same as information organization. So how do we give to appropriate name, and how do we classify them to methodologically? So therefore, classification and name giving will be the foundation of our science. So basically, the science of foundation, the foundation of science need to classification and name giving, okay? So finally, the science. Science consists of classification and name giving. Two things consist to science. Science consists two things: classification and name giving. And then this is the foundation of science. So foundation of science need to classification and name giving, and then research and development. This is for information organization, replication. The other things, the other researchers says, obviously there is no classification of the universe that is not arbitrary and conjectural. The reason is very simple. We do not know what the universe is. The universe is. But even if we science is defines the classification and name giving, but the other part, the universe. Huge universe. So even if we are classify or name giving, but the science is also limited there because we are living in the universe world. So we do not know some definitions. Even if we don't know the university, what the university is, but we have to do continuously classify and name and research. Okay? You got it? So, okay, this is for information organization. Okay, the basic concept for them. Okay, let's try this introduction to information organization. So organization of information and documents which convey information is one of the fundamental aspects of information science. So this fundamental aspect is organization of information. So now this class name is Introduction to Computer Science. There are many kinds of methodologies and fundamentals. So organization of information is one of the fundamental aspects of information science. In many respects, this amounts to classifying and name giving. That is, as essentially in our science as some proclaimed to indicate though there are different reasons. There are many kinds of different reasons, and then they are classified and name given. But some researchers accept, some disciplines cannot accept. Okay, so anyway, there are many different reasons needed to describe the nature of document. It's title, creator, date of creation, physical form, publishing details, etc. So if we classify or the name giving, we need to title, create, date of creation, physical forms, publishing details, etc. So many kind of factors need to classification for evidencing. The fully and accurate through categorizing and metadata creation. Later we will study metadata. So and the denote subject. We have to subscribe the subject. So what is about that? Through classifying, indexing, and summarizing. So the subject matter refers to as either the information organization, I said IO, and knowledge organization, KO. So we know the science by classification and naming giving. So this is for through the classifying and indexing, summarizing. This example is to subject, denote the subject. The subject may be referred as the IO or KO. IO is information organization, KO is knowledge organization. So often these terms are treated as synonymous. Sometimes we using together. Knowledge organization and information organization is synonymous. KO strictly refers to the organizing and structure of knowledge itself. A rather abstract and philosophical activity. At the other hand, the IO is usually taken as seeking a programmatic solution to the organization of the information. It means it's a little bit different. IO versus KO. Sometimes we using the synonyms, but basically KO strictly refers to the organizing and structure of knowledge itself. But the other hand, IO is usually taken seeking a programmatic solution of the organization. Also is very physical and digital. So there can be access and retrieved. The whole and end is very highest, but it's very difficult to show. How do you call it? It's very famous researchers. He knows that the terms are typically used in different contexts, but that the underlying theoretical principles are identical. That is, he suggests KO is the more appropriate of terms. KO is better than, KO is more theoretical and some typical better than information organization. That is IO. So we compare that what is the difference IO versus IO between IO and KO is the future and is the more appropriate. IO is more, KO is more appropriate better than IO. So the term I/O throughout this chapter, our chapter, consistent with the title of the book and other chapters, we say the I/O-ing, okay? So one of the main aspects of the subject is information science, information organizations, is the way in which long-standing concept and the techniques. A long time we're using the long concept and the techniques adapted to modern digital environment. Nowadays, as you know, this big data, the radar, metadata, and huge data, data meeting, machine. Some fundamentals of topics, particularly aspect of theory of classification. So we are go back many centuries, and then some of the main tools used today, classification and techniques adjusted and inverse to go back many centuries, and then we redefine or re-certificate classification. Also, the I/O is extensive and complex subject with its own right. But fortunately, it is covered by a wide range of textbooks, articles, and web resources. So even if the I/O is very extensive and complex subject, but it is covers the textbook and the articles or the web resource. I/O is covered. So we are using the I/O is more educate and escape more easy concept or approach to new objecting. So, and let's move to fundamentals of information organization. The fundamental of I/O. The questions raised by I/O have been asked since the earliest day of the philosophy. So we have developed the philosophy, very old theory, and the I/O is asked since earliest in the philosophy. Is there a single nature classification of everything in the world? So they this is for college level general education. So we are defined already. We are name giving, and we have a college level. So this another word for change mind and change objects, some definition nature. We know that nature, but these college levels regarding information organization, the nature is a little bit adjust new definition because it's now lots of change. That's why we need to natural classification. So how can many others, researchers, what basis do we assign them to categorize? Categorize is a very similar classification. How do we mental concept related to physical things? So the natural classification need to different naming, assigning, categorizing, and mental concept. So physical things, it's very different thing. Change, progress. So we need to reclassification and renaming. So there are a great deal of theory underlying all organization of information and knowledge. I mean, there are many kinds of theory. So many researchers announced the theory of I/O or K. So the detailed treat of the theory of I/O. there are many researchers announced that and approach from the number of perspectives. So I give you just one classification by ion. First, so how do we identify the ion? So there are 5 dimensions to identify phenomena. First, phenomena. Phenomenon. It's correct. Phenomenon. And second is perspective. Third, document. And fourth, correction. And 6, 5, user. That's it. So in regarding I/O systems, we can identify 5 dimensions for information organization. So 5 dimension is identified for I/O. So the phenomenon is the rooted in the ontology. Is related to organization by the phenomenon of reality, the thing that exists in the world, rather than by how we think it. Okay, this is exist. Keyword exist. Exist. Or the reality. This is phenomenon. So we saw this exist, and we feel or catch the not relate or created, but the exist or reality is phenomenon. This is for basic perspective of identify for I/O. So this consideration has led to the development of the classification schemes such as Brown or something like levels. Anyway, basically start the knows the exist and the reality is to basic develop the classification schemes. Okay? And second is perspective. Perspective is some kind of opinion. Okay, I know there exists something phenomenon, or I catch the reality. And then second dimension of information organization leads to the perspective. What is your opinion? This is perspective. This is good for human natural, or this is not good for human natural, and what is this reality or access is good for your knowledge development, something like that. That is their opinion. If you find the reality or catch the reality, and then next dimension is what is your opinion? Perspective rooted in the epistemology. Epistemology is some your idea or opinion for fact, for reality. This is the epistemology. So it's how we knows the perspectives, how they knowledge is structured, or typically academic disciplines, and lead to discipline-based classification. This opinion. How they say structure or academic discipline. researchers catch the or knows the existence or reality, and then they make the opinion through the structure. What is a structure? The other one is academic disciples. Academic disciple means is some university or research centers, they accept the academic area. That is academic disciples. And also this for classification. Many researchers, they accepted academic disciples, and then they also standard or define the classification for exist or reality. So first dimension is phenomenal, and then automatically they have some their own perspective, opinion, and then let's move to make document. So these things, the opinion means is research, the structure, and they accept the academic disciples, and everybody or some areas agree the classification, and then they accept the opinion. This is perspective status. And next move to the correction. A document. Document, they focus on information bearing documents as the unit to be organized lead to metadata formats. Later we say that the metadata. Metadata. For different kind of documents, there are many different kind of documents, especially regarding to metadata. So anyway, the document means it's delivery to the information, delivery to the knowledge to other people. So also the inclusion of documents lead to publication type or indicate in the classification things. So this is for some kind of I/O tools. There, the document is to role of the I/O tools document. That's an easy concept. So I/O tools is developed on the basis of the literary world. This last week I saw we reviewed the literary library system. So literary means is documentation. Next step is for dimension of information organization is correction. Correction is correct. I/O is often applied to correction of some kind of document. Its purpose being a structure to correction to make it understand and use. Why you use correction? For understanding. Understand and use it. How to use that? And how do we understand it? This is for objective of correction. It means that correction makes it understandable and usable things. So although the principle of I/O remains the same, the detail will differ. What kind of correction? For example, there are some libraries, archives, archives, and literary libraries, museum, the bibliographic database, or some, as we know, this internet. These things is what do we use internet, using the internet? Understand and using. Okay. And the final dimension for I/O is user. I/O system need to respect the needs, preferences, and capabilities of their users. For example, many classification and taxonomies, so taxation, between 5 and 10 main heading reflecting the number of entities people can hold in mind at one time. So user-centered focus is also seen. And small specialist libraries use a local sim and arranging physical materials in preparation for general classifications. User is related with user. So document, library, or some internet, or some archives, something documentations, these things for users. Let's clarify again. Related information organization, processing 5 dimensions. First, we catch or gather phenomena, for example, exist or real. And then let's move to next step is they have own opinion for things. This dimension we say the perspective step. How do we opinion make it? Search, academic design, classification based on opinion. And then they move to the documentation. It is the metadata, make the I/O tools, and make a document. And if somebody wants to some access to a reality, wants to document and then correct. Correct means it's a search or make correcting. So this is for the understanding and using. And these four automatically they become users. This step is called dimension. And here and propose there are 4 basic approaches. How to approach for applicable to all I/O approach. The Shuren, very famous researchers suggest for 4 kind of basic approaches to classification. How do we classification here? Classification. So how do we approach the classification? Especially structural academic cycle is another area. But classification is related information organization. So the Huron researchers suggest how do we classification approach. Classification. First, rationalism. Second, empiricism. And third, historicism. Fourth, pragmatism. So he proposed there are 4 basic approaches to classification. These things are applicable to all I/O. First, rationalism, empiricism, historicism, pragmatism. Let me introduce one by one. So, rationalism is based on the logical application of rules based on clearly stated fundamental principles. Their definition. Rationalism means is everybody accepted by rational because it's a logically application rules based on very clearly state fundamental principles. And then nationalism. They think about the nationalism, the Korean or nationalism. And the other basic approach is empiricism. Empiricism is some experience, and then we classification. So we have many kind of experience, and then I have to or can classification for the information. So empiricism is experience. I experience many things, and then I can classify. So empiricism based on assessment of simplicity according to neutral comparison of all available criteria without any assessment of which criteria are important. It means it's very simple. Empiricism is for experience. I experience something for a long time, and then this is for assessment of similarity according to the comparison, and then it's become a basic approach for classification. Historicism. Historicism is history. Because history is experienced very similar. But historicism is based on the analysis of development over time, and then something is based on analysis of development, and then it's classification method. Also, the historicism is bring together entities which are the common ancestry, which are related to the development of theory. Okay, it's accept the very easy things. Okay. Nationalism is for think about national, and then they accept. All of them accept. This is another approach for classification. Empiricism is experience. Most people is experience, and then we can classification accepted, related by. And the third thing is historicism. History is very long time. We have some history. History means is that at that time I said history. What's the history? Is story. So story means data. So data become information. So data is history. But classification means is we accept the data or not. It's a basic disciple or some development area, and then data become information. Any other things is accept or not is another standard decipher area. So anyway, the historicism is some positivism. It means is actually evidence. It's a positive. Positive means it's actual evidence. And then positive. It is basic give to the historicism. And the pragmatism. Pragmatism is actual using. Everybody using these things, and this is for pragmatic. So somebody using this style, somebody using this style, some fact and exist, and then we can classification. So pragmatism based on the critical and subjective analysis of the purpose of the organization to bring out relationship meaningful for that purpose. Something is they have own purpose. And then we are approach for the critical and the subjective analysis for organization. And then there are many people using these things or these facts, actual using. And then we are sorting. This is another approach for classification for information organization. So basically, information organization classification, because it's information organization needs to classification because we want to use it. We want to know. So how do we classification? So this classification four kind of basic approach. Something is the information and experience, data history, probability is actual using, and then we can use these approaches and we can make them classified. Okay. And I want to introduce the example of these approaches. This chapter. And this practical IO system. So I show you that three kind of heading for example of the classification this methodology. There are three examples for classification. Example, first, concept and categorize. Concepts and categories. Second one, hierarchy. And that's it. And third example, the controlled vocabulary. Okay. I introduced the four basic approaches for to know the classification. There's a nationalism, empiricism, historicism, and pragmatism. And I want to introduce the example of these approaches, IO system. Actually, up to that is there are many kinds of approaches and fundamental ideas, but just I introduced the three headings. First is concept and categorize, hierarchy and thesis, and last one is controlled vocabulary. Okay, it's simple idea, but we have easy to approach the information. But the college level or researchers need to classify because this is for understanding and using. So we need for these things for decipher. And then the new students is coming to this university or college or high school and some organization to be members. And then how do they know that? Even if I know this information, and then I ask the students, can you give me a definition of information? Information is information, but yeah, our class is information science, so I want to give to definition and how do we approach for information science disciples. This is for studying area. I like this word approaches. Approach means I go to the A to B. It's also approach. and now it's nothing. Nothing for some statistics. What I have to go there college level. College or university level knowledge. So how do we get the college level statistics? This processing we say the approach. This is game. My son likes the game. And I don't know this right now, okay. And then how do we get the game or changer or gamer or something? This is also approach. This is approach. So it is sometimes we get study, sometimes we go there or research. Something like that. All include all this approach. So basically, I say in the college level to say to approach. And then this is for some methodology. Because there is every student is college level, and they have to know the some unique area or standard area or your own area or your own job and your own experience. It doesn't matter. How do know the methodology? How do we go to the goals? How do we go study and something every time? We say the approach. So approach is the word is include everything, methodology and study and research, or more experience, more laboratory, everything, conversation, read the document, everything. So just briefly, I accept the example there. Concept and the categories. So the concept is a basic unit of knowledge. So we would first I said it's knowledge organization, KO. So what is the basic unit of knowledge? This is concept. And also the idea. The basic unit of idea is concept. Also the building block of thoughts. This is for concept. So what is the concept? Concept is understanding three things. One thing is basic of knowledge, and basic unit of idea. Also the basic of building block of thought. This is concept. So concept is divided two categories. Groups of the generally similar concept. It is overlapping or mutually exclusive. Overlapping or mutual. So these things is for concepts and categorized. So concepts are divided into categorized and grouping or something like that. And second is the hierarchy and the passive. Division into categories is typically by hierarchy. Again, the idea going back to classical classification. It is usually the hierarchies may form three ways. Something there are some classes divided into subclasses. Okay, for example, the hierarchy. For example, by type of kind. Type of kind. What kind of the type? First things, plants. Example. And plant flowers. and since roses, rose, and type of kind is flowers, and more in large that flesh. This is for type of kind. And second one to hierarchy is by part of the horse, by part of horse. For example, the human body, and there's arm, and this one elbow. Okay, this is elbow. This is elbow, and there's more like this arm. Arms belongs to the human body. This is a part of the horse. This is also hierarchy system example. That is the sub class. So elbow, arm, and human. Rose, flowers, and flesh. We can say it's a type of kind. And so the things is by instance, by example, by instance, or example. Example. Okay. For example, ocean. O-C-E-A-N-S. Ocean. And which oceans? We have 6 oceans in the world, so it's Atlantic. And Pacific Ocean. Atlantic belongs to the ocean. This style is by instance or example. There are 3 things. Is the example of subclass. Subclassic system. Subclass. Plant subclass is flower. Flower subclass is rose or one of the things. And the part of the horse, the human body whole thing, and belongs to the becoming consists of arm or other things. The arm is possessed the elbow. So this style hierarchy we say the part of the whole. And by instance or example, we have 6 oceans in the world: Atlantic, Pacific, Oceania, Sea, Oceania. This is hierarchy and passage system for classification of information organization. And let's move to hierarchy. And the third one is corrective, controlled vocabulary. Control the vocabulary, another foundation of concept of within KO, knowledge organization. It is set of the agree and standardized terms of using some information organization purpose thing, including indexing, retrieval, and classification arrangement thing. So the control vocabulary is there are many kinds of natural language. So this is vocabulary. So we are controlled the variety of redundance of natural language. It is called the term of the knowledge organization system or KOS, or iOS tools, or something like that, is for vocabulary. Vocabulary means includes the naming, so we control the vocabulary. This is for also how do we classification of information organization. Okay. Okay, today is very heavy rain, so be careful for driving. So this I want to give you everything, but this next week I will introduce the metadata. Okay, so today very careful to come back home, and thanks for coming here.